Trying to boost my subscribers, I'm trying to maintain the vision. People that know me closest live different than what they show me. It's hard to feel like they know me when I'm just scrolling through images. Truth be told, I feel pain, but I'm on the pinnacle. Been chasing this music thing for a minute though. Know some good people that never see success. And here I am sitting worried about show appearances.
Hello, everyone. I'm Angeline, and she's Resa, and welcome to Season 4, Episode 152 of With the Quickness.
Happy Tuesday, everyone.
Happy Tuesday, indeed. Today, we're going to share our takeaways from the March 13th, 2025 sermons given at First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens in Somerset, New Jersey, and the Messiah Baptist Church in East Orange, New Jersey. So, Resa, what was your big takeaway from First Baptist this week?
True faith isn't just words, it's action.
Okay. My takeaway was faith is more than belief. It's an active commitment that we carry in community, character, and communion with God. So what's your big takeaway from Messiah Baptist Church in East Orange?
We need to move beyond canceling people and provide more grace and understanding.
Okay. My big takeaway was just as Jesus responded to his cancellation with love and sacrifice, we too must embody his example in our interactions with others. So we're going to get into both of those sermons a little later in the show. But right now, it's time for Resa's playlist. Resa, what's the song of the week this week?
Are we ready? It's time.
We narrowed it down to one song. This is Song of the Week, currently featured on With the Quickness Spotify playlist.
So the song of the week this week is by an artist of the name of Jon Reddick. He has a song out called No Fear. It's from his debut album that drops May 30th. Just a little background about who Jon is. Jon Reddick is a worship pastor and songwriter and is dedicated to creating music that embodies redemption and hope, aiming to resonate with a generation seeking healing. He grew up as the son of a pastor and church pianist in Memphis, Tennessee. Music has always been integral to Jon's life. His songwriting journey began in college with a contemporary gospel group, leading him to church ministry roles where he focused on uniting diverse communities across racial and generational lines through music. Jon emphasizes the importance of engaging worship experiences that transcend differences and has creatively merged his musical talent with visual art, notably using one of his paintings as the cover for his debut song, You Keep Hope Alive. Now he seeks to channel his passion and experiences into his own music, aspiring to help people reconcile with God and each other through worship.
So what drew you to pick this artist, Resa?
So I picked this artist because of his song titled No Fear. The song is about freedom from fear. Basically, Jon put on his Facebook page, he says, my hope is this song reminds you that we have not been given a spirit of fear. God is over your life. So I figured, again, because of the times that we are in and how easy it is to fall into fear, or just in general, people grapple with fear, myself included. When you realize that, fear is not of God, you try your best to not have fear and or at least try to overcome it if it's a reasonable fear to not have.
That is so true. And I think it's really good that we embrace what Pastor Quick has been saying over the last couple Sundays. We got to stop worrying about so much, walking in fear, have more faith. The song kind of ties into all of that, right?
So yeah, the song throughout just talks about how when you're walking with God and you know that he's walking with you, there's no need to have fear.
Yeah. And so this song will be on our Spotify playlist, right? The Mega Mixed and the one for season 4. And is there a video that we could put on our website?
There is a video on his YouTube channel.
Okay, great. We'll try to get that up this week. We still got some technical difficulties with the website, but we're working on it. We're trying to get everything up and loaded. Hopefully this week will be the last week we're behind the curveball with that. But thank you so much for sharing this artist with us, Resa. We haven't featured him before, right?
No.
Okay, great. So I'm looking forward to listening to it, and hopefully, is it? You didn't say if it's a fast song or a slow song, so I'm just gonna let it surprise me.
Yeah, I would say it basically feels like a country rock song with a gospel feel to it.
Nice. Let's go over to the book of our show. Let's go to the service at the Sunday service at First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens. It began with the praise and worship ministry welcoming all the saints to Palm Sunday service. The church was filled to the rafters with congregants to hear the good news. Did you see how packed the church was this Sunday, Risa?
It was packed to the rafters.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are just getting ready for the whole This is Holy Week. They're making their appearances. People are coming into town. People want to get a word.
They definitely do want to get a word before Easter.
Yeah, I think because of the times we're kind of in right now, I think everybody's kind of looking for some kind of message, something to hold on to help get us through this.
Yeah, like everyone's trying to cling on to something that can just give them some type of hope.
Yeah, I mean, with the deportations, with the markets going up and down, with the plane crashes and helicopter crashes. Have you seen that? We have a lot of stuff going on. The gentleman that we can't get back to the United States after he's been deported. We have a lot that have a lot of people concerned and prayerfully watching the times.
Yeah, like I feel like every other day there's something in the headline, so it's kind of like it's not that it's hard to keep up with it. It's easy to keep up with it, but sometimes it's like you just need a break because it's too much every day.
Yeah. So, Pastor Quick gave a very poignant sermon this Sunday. It was titled Signed, Sealed, Delivered, I'm Yours. It was given by Reverend Dr. Danté R. Quick. The scripture he referred to was Revelation chapter 7, verses 9 through 17 in the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible. This is where John sees a huge crowd, so numerous that no one can count them, from every nation, tribe, people, and language, standing before the throne and the Lamb. And this throng has come through great tribulation and are now in a place of safety and rest, no longer experiencing hunger and thirst or the scorching heat of the sun. They are led by the Lamb who will guide them to the spring of living water, and God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. In his intro, Pastor Quick draws inspiration from Stevie Wonder's iconic track, Signed, Sealed, Delivered, I'm Yours. Just like the song story of someone returning after making past mistakes, Pastor Quick explores the idea of faith as a package we receive from God, signed, sealed with his promise. He reminds us that faith is more than a belief. It's an active commitment that we carry in community, character, and communion with God. Drawing from the history of Palm Sunday, Pastor Quick shares that the palm symbolizes victory and perseverance, much like how our faith should declare, I'm still here. Now, in his sermon, there were like three core takeaways that he explored. So let's go over them briefly. One was faith reflects our communion. Faith begins in connection and sacred bonds with others. He said it thrives in community where we are safe and united by our trust in Christ. Secondly, faith shapes our character. True faith isn't just words, it's visible in how we act. Our character should mirror the character of God, showing integrity and alignment with his teachings. And lastly, faith affirms our commitments. Faith speaks volumes about our devotion to God. External appearances don't define us, our actions and trust in him do. God robes us based on our faith, not our status. Now, through it all, Pastor Quick tied the message to the profound idea that faith breaks down barriers, offering not only hope, but a way forward, no matter the circumstances. Faith isn't just something you hold, it's a door you walk through, sealed with God's promise of love and redemption. What did you think about this week's sermon, Risa, from Pastor Quick?
I feel like his sermon and actually like the last several sermons that he's given over the past couple of weeks have been um, very uh, very timing or very timely, like due to what's going on, and just like constantly like reminding people that like yes, even though we are going through trying times that um, we have to keep the faith. We can't succumb to fear, because that's what, the devil wants you to do, is to like succumb to fear, and think that you can't accomplish anything, and to keep people idle, and to not want to like seek community. So he's like, doing his part by reminding everyone that we have to stay prayerful, and we have to lean onto our faith when we feel any type of discomfort.
Yeah, I liked how he made the point about our character. Like, if true faith isn't just what you say, it's actually how you act. It's interesting in the press, they're talking about Diddy a lot, and how he was very much into his faith before he got arrested, and he's now going to be on trial soon. And they were saying how many times he had gone to church, and he had talked to different pastors, and he was, talking about his faith a lot before this all happened. But, his actions, as we know now behind the scenes, did not seem to be in alignment with what he was saying. And I think that's a little bit of what Pastor Quick is talking about, that duality that most people have. Like, a person can say, I was studying all night, professor. I don't understand why I don't understand why I'm not getting the assignment, getting the lesson, why I'm not retaining the information. But in actuality, they were playing video games most of the night, and they only studied a little bit of the night. So that whole faith shapes our character, something that all of us need to lean into, to look at where are we, where's our alignment? Like, are we the same person behind closed doors as we are in person? That we present to the public. Like, is your office face the same as the face you show to your friends and family? It might vary a little bit. Maybe some of your vernacular is different. Maybe you can reveal a little bit more of the inner workings of your mind with friends and family, a little different than work. But are you drastically different behind closed doors than you are in public?
Well, when you put it that way, I could say at work I'm more like, there's not that much of a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Of course at work I'm professional, but I feel like when I'm off the clock, I'm just silly, and I do bring that to work a little bit, but not that much, because again, I'm at work. So that's the only difference between the two. It's like I'm pretty much the same. It's just that, okay, at work I'm more professional, and I'm more like goal oriented, whereas at home I'm more like laid back, and I'm not, you know, so gun ho about things.
Now, I know there's a part where he was referring to our character, how it should kind of mirror, God's character in a lot of ways. I don't want people to get the understanding that means you have to be very stout and reserved. I think God has an excellent sense of humor. I really do. I look back at my life sometimes, and it was like, I looked up at the heaven a couple of times and said, "Oh, you got jokes, right? You got jokes," because of the situations that I was in. And somehow I felt like he said, "You got yourself into this. How you gonna get yourself out?" And then there's been times where he's, saved me in spite of myself. And then I was like, I know you were tickled that I even got myself in that kind of a knot. And I think he has a warm heart. I think our God is warm and generous and kind and loving. But is he jealous, and can he get angry? Oh yeah, like any parent. I think like a real devout, faithful parent, he has both sides, but both of them he shows too. I don't think he hides one and just shows the other.
Yeah, because like one thing, like we could say a lot of things about God, but one thing that I know that he is very consistent. So that's why I think it's funny. Like the old saying goes, like, if you, like, God laughs if you try to make plans, because it's just like there's no point. That's like you may think you're gonna have your life go one way, but then he could have something better or redirect you to do something different. So
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. It was a really good sermon. I like the fact that he started with the Stevie Wonder song. I mean, of course, it made everybody think about either one or two things. One, you're thinking about how the guy went away, did the girl wrong, but he's trying to come back and win her good graces. And the other thing you think about is how Barack Obama used the song in his campaign. Like, if you remember at the when they got the presidency, they played that song, "Signed, Sealed, Delivered, I'm Yours," that night when he was, voted in as our president. I think for the second time. But he he's always been a lover. The Obamas have always been a lover of Stevie Wonder. So I like how there was a duality in having the title be signed, sealed, delivered, I'm yours.
I honestly completely forgot that Obama that Obama played that song because that's how far removed that I feel from that time. Because I just feel like with everything that's happening, it feels like a different life.
It does. It does.
So yeah.
Well, Reverend Dr. Danté Quick's sermon, signed, sealed, delivered, I'm yours, was live streamed on March the 13th, 2025 on the FBC Somerset YouTube channel. When you get a moment, please check it out. Now let's move on to the Messiah Baptist Church in East Orange, New Jersey, another New Jersey church. They also posted a March 13th, 2025 sermon that we know you'll enjoy. The sermon is titled Cancel Culture. It was given by Reverend Maria Crompton, who is the pastor of Elmwood Presbyterian Church in East Orange, New Jersey. The scripture she referred to was Luke chapter 19, verses 28 through 42 of the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible. This is where Jesus has his triumphant entry into Jerusalem and is recounted in this passage. He rides a donkey, fulfills prophecy, and is hailed by the crowd as king, while some Pharisees disapprove. As he approaches the city, he weeps, laments Jerusalem's rejection of peace and its impending destruction. Pastor Crompton invites the saints gathered to reflect on the concept of cancel culture and its historical roots, even drawing parallels to Jesus' experiences over 2,000 years ago. She framed cancel culture as a cultural tool for accountability, but also acknowledges its complexities surrounding it. Resa, you've heard of the phrase cancel culture, haven't you?
Of course, as someone who is, on social media a lot, and at least I was on it a lot more when I was younger. But I was around when cancel culture started, and my thoughts on cancel culture. Now I do feel like there are some things that, like, yeah, if it comes to light, that you probably should be canceled for. But I do feel like the majority of the time, outside of like those major things, like the minor things that come up, instead of canceling someone, like, a person needs to be educated and given grace, because most of the time the things that happen that are minor instances, they probably didn't know.
Now, give
And
people
they
a little instance of what cancel culture is for those that might not know. We're using the phrase, but just in case someone has been somewhere where they're not really too familiar with it, what would you give them an example of what it is?
So cancel culture is basically when a bunch of people online find out something. Like, it's basically when, whether it's people online or people like in person, find out news about someone that they did something that wasn't the greatest. Like, if it was some type of crime, then they will decide to cancel you, which means to not support you in any type of fashion. Case in point, because you brought him up earlier, Diddy. People canceled him because of all of the debauchery that he has done. R.
So, what kind
Kelly,
of things are they canceling for Diddy?
like not supporting his music, um, not supporting his businesses.
Mm.
So like anything that can make him money, they're not going to support. The same thing was done with R. Kelly when his case came up. A lot of people decided to not stream his music, to not stream any songs that he wrote on, he produced, what have you, because again, those things give him and his team money, so they just wanted to cut him off at the foot, and they just decided to not support him in that way.
Now, did the Dixie Chicks have cancel culture happen to them? Now that they're now called the Chicks, but did they have cancel culture at one time?
When VH1 used to put out wonderful documentaries, I do recall Natalie from the Chicks talking about that, how her country base tried to cancel her,
Mm-hmm.
her and her two other bandmates. But like, some people, like I said, some people take it too far, because in her instance, like, just because she spoke out about something, I'm not going to cancel you, because like, to me, that, like, there's like because she was speaking out about something political, and that was during a time, and some people still feel this way, that if you are an artist, that you should just like shut up and sing. And I'm just like, they're an artist though. Like the whole purpose of an artist is to actually reflect what is going on,
That's
like
true.
presently. Like, for those of us that are Marvin Gaye fans, that's what he said.
Yeah.
So if you want to be considered an artist, that's what you do. Like, your art should show that at some point. Like, we do have a lot of artists, whether they're singers, painters, dancers, that use whatever tools that they have, whether it's their voice, their hands, their body, what have you, to present the news of that time. You may not like it, but that's what it is. Like, and just because you don't like something, that does not constitute someone being canceled. That's just
Mm.
your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
someone committing like a heinous crime, to me, those things need to be canceled.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like they should be canceled, and they should also be given some type of tools to rehabilitate, because clearly you took a far left. Don't know how, but you did. But yeah, that's just how I
I
feel
can
about it.
definitely understand. I understand
Yeah.
where you're coming from. I remember when some years back, Sinead O'Connor was on Saturday Night Live. And I
Hmm.
think she did a song or a performance or something like that. And at the end, she tore up a picture of the Pope. And it was all based on the fact that she had was very aware of some of the things that were going on with priests and children. And so she was outraged by it. So she was trying to bring attention to that. And she got canceled. Like, people stopped playing her music. People totally ostracized her. But if it wasn't for her standing up and putting light on that situation, I don't think some of the stuff would have been dealt with in the Catholic Church. I mean, it made people start looking, and made reporters start doing documentaries, and started listening to the victims a little more. Her career never really recovered, but she definitely took that L and wanted and forced herself to be canceled for the better good, to bring light to something.
Right. And I feel like this is where I get a little frustrated, because it's like, okay, on the one hand, whenever something comes up, right? Like, for example, with the whole like Sinead O'Connor situation, right? Because she brought something to light that most people didn't know about, she got attacked for it. But then those same people are the first ones to be like, I don't understand how that was going on for so long, is because people weren't talking about it. Because it's like, if everyone like was allowed to like, and it's not as if they can't say, like, they can say whatever they want to say, but if people were able to say what they really want to say without the fear of being canceled, ridiculed, a lot of things would not be going on. The fact that, again, bringing up R. Kelly, but the fact that when his case happened, and a lot of people were like, well, I don't understand, like, how was he able to do this for like decades at a time? Like, people weren't talking, and the more
Same
that you
thing with
don't,
Bill Cosby. People weren't.
right,
We didn't. No one was talking about
right,
it.
right, and it's
They
like,
were saying
it's
it as jokes. When he in the '70s, '80s. That how he put a roofie in somebody's drink or something. It was part of a joke, part of a bit. But no one's really looking into the people that were actually affected by it.
right. So it's like, when there's jokes made, when people don't talk, when people are like idolized, which is another thing too. It's like, you can't assume, because don't be wrong, I love certain artists, right? Clearly, but at the same time, I don't idolize people, because humans are capable of doing anything. I like people, but to idolize them, that's going a little too far for me. But we gotta stop doing that, because then when these things come up, unless you know them personally, then I get you wanting to like defend somebody. But if you don't know them, you just have to wait until all the facts are out,
You're right.
and let it let the courts do what they have to do. But I just really think that we got to stop with, like, we have to stop with the whole, oh, like, I'm mad because so and so said whatever was going on. I'm just like, but would you rather them not say anything, and then like it still goes on for like decades at a time? Like, that could have been stopped if someone would have said something.
Yeah, like the Target. We're kind of doing the cancel culture on Target, the boycott.
yeah, pretty much Target has been canceled, and that's not our fault. Like, again, like every choice that we make in life, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent, has a reaction. So if you want to be funny, people want to be hilarious. That's just what it is.
It is what it is. Well, Pastor Crompton gave some key points in her sermon. First, like she said, she defined cancel culture, and it's very much like Risa said, it's the practice of withdrawing support for individuals, institutions, businesses that based on their values, their behaviors, even their rhetoric that may be seen as offensive or harmful. Supporters can do cancel culture or use it as a tool of social justice to empower the marginalized voices and hold the very powerful people in our society accountable. Now, critics, however, argue there's some risk that come, like Risa said, on the other side is the risk of censorship and undermining free speech. Another point that she made was Jesus is one of history's first canceled figures. I never looked at it that way before, in the context of cancel culture. But she's so right. If you draw from scriptures, Pastor Crompton paints a very vivid picture of Jesus' triumphant entry into Jerusalem with cheers and Hosanna, right, on the donkey. Juxtaposed with the celebration is his rejection and his condemnation just days later after that. It's like, wow, when you think about it, he might have been the very first, canceled person. I mean, he was really canceled, right?
Yeah, he was. And like that whole thing makes me mad too, because I'm just like the thing that makes me mad about it is because one person was upset about what he was doing, that they sat there and convinced all these people that this man needs to be killed. And I'm just like, so we don't know how to think for ourselves like that.
Well, I think it's actually more than just one. I think with different kind of series and different kind of dramatizations, hope I'm saying it right, different kind of dramatic films and series, they kind of make it like seem like one, because that works better when you are trying to craft characters and trying to get the story to move a certain way, than to following several people that had that belief. And so in the scriptures, it says Pharisees plural. It doesn't just name a particular Pharisees. So I think there were definitely more than one, but you could be right. There could be some chief Pharisees that had louder voices and the other ones were kind of just following suit. Now, Jesus did not meet the cultural expectations of a Messiah. Meant to overthrow Rome and restore Israel's greatness. Instead, he focused on serving the marginalized, challenging religious leaders, and delivering a message of inclusion and salvation. Now, the next point that Pastor Crompton made was the duality of celebration and rejection. She emphasized how Jesus was adorned at the start of the week, but excluded and persecuted by the same people by the end of the week. She challenged us to reflect on the fleeting and fragile nature of public approval. Risa, we notice in our own society, what they say, society loves to lift you up and celebrate you, and then they look for things to bring you down, right?
Right. Like I feel like that's the definition of a hater. Like Monday, Tuesday, they like you. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they hate you. And you're just like, okay. Like what do you want? Like I don't know. Like I used to be. I say that lightly because I'm still working on it, but I used to be someone that's like, oh, everyone needs to like me. But it kind of gets to a point where you're just like, you know what? If I'm just being myself and they don't like me for whatever reason, that's just more about them than it does me. We never even had a conversation, but for whatever reason, you want to hate on me and try to bring me down, which to me is quite funny because you're actually putting more energy towards that person that you don't like versus like if you really didn't like them, you would just not even pay them any mind and just do your own thing.
I think Pastor Quick, when he came in as our pastor, he saw the same kind of switch. Some people, he came in, they were very happy he was there. And when he started doing his job, the job that God appointed him to do, people had problems. Then that public approval was fleeting and fragile. So it's like he got up to the pulpit many a Sunday and said, hey, I know what my assignment is and I'm doing my assignment. And it was hard for some people to, first of all, change is hard for all of us. It really is. It's like, take it back to when you were a kid and you're used to the living room looking a certain way and you come from school one day, you walk into the house and your mother done changed the living room around. Why? Because she felt like it. So now the walkway you're used to walking down is a little obstructed and you got to go around this way, around the bookcase or whatever. Or the furniture has changed. Why? Because she felt like it. And now it's like God felt like a change. And if you are, calling yourself a Christian and a follower of Christ, if a change has come through, has come down, you only have one or two choices. Say, okay, Jesus Christ is my Lord, and you say, yes, Lord, or you have a bunch of problems with it. And here's all the reasons why I got a problem with it. Now, I'm not saying a person doesn't have a right to be concerned. You can be concerned, and there's a way to give your concerns and to voice your concerns, which is productive and in alignment with having new leadership. You do it respectfully, you do it with thought, and you do it with a solution. Because just to be a tinking brass, just to make the sound that there's something wrong or you don't like it, that doesn't help anybody. Right, Risa?
Right. That's something that I learned when I first got into the medical field, because for anyone in the medical field, like no 2 days are the same ever, because things are constantly changing. And, leadership, they welcome feedback, but they're also like, okay, if you're going to give us feedback, then at least give us some solutions to these problems that you're seeing. Because if every day you're telling us what's wrong, it's like they hear you, but they don't really hear you, because they're just like, all they hear is like the whole, like, I call it the Charlie Brown teacher, womp, 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 and they just tune you out, and you're just like, this is kind of pointless. So.
Yeah. And then if you do it year after year after year, it shows that you have no self-awareness and you have no growth. You have no desire to grow yourself. Because believe it or not, the way you sounded in high school should not be the way you're sounding when you're in your 30s and 40s. If you're kind of solving problems and voicing your opinions the same way you did when you were a child or a teenager, that's a problem. I'm sorry to hit you with it, but that's a real problem. And you have to go see the lady and have a talk.
But see, this is why I like to watch reality shows, because there are people that are like, either my age or a little bit older that do act like that, and they get paid to do that. But the problem is, some of us that watch that think that they could do that in real life, and it's not going to be the same outcome.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that whole Hawk smash. You can't do that in real
No.
life. It looks great on TV and drama and gets great ratings and people talk about it. But you get arrested in real life. You get fired in real life for Hawk smash. Yeah.
Yeah, and then on top of that too, if you really think about it, like these reality shows nowadays, they're most of the time they're scripted. So it's not like, not to age myself a little bit, but I will. It's not like back in the day with like MTV's The Real World, where it was like
Yeah.
they just
With
had
Pedro
like,
and them and Puck. Yeah, it's not like that. No.
They had like 8 strangers living in a house, and they meaning the producers made up a storyline after filming hours upon hours of tape. It's like these shows, they go into it, they pick people, they like the producers are telling like the talent like what to do and what to say, and they set up certain scenes. So it's like it's real, but it's more so manufactured, because they put people in situations to get the reactions that they want that are good for television.
Yeah. It's like if you don't get along with someone that well and they don't get along well with you because neither one of you has sat down and had an honest talk about who you are with each other, how you communicate with each other and work through the stuff, then you put those two people in a situation, it's going to be dramatic. There's going to be some drama there. But if those two, men to women or a man and a woman decide to work it out, that's not good television, they say these days. Oh no, they're working it out. Now they're friends, kumbaya and everything. That's not going to work. So what they do, they throw another powder keg. They get a third person in that kind of insinuates one is saying something about the other. So that so-called friend of yours is not really a friend. And it becomes this whole, and it's like, wow, really? You couldn't let two people just have a good friendship? Because after friendship, that surface level friendship, you have a deeper thing that happens between two people where you decide to walk through life with a person as your friend. That person can become so close, they're like closer to you than a sibling, in some ways. Can't get there. Why? Because reality TV always throwing in powder kegs and making everybody so mad at each other that eventually people just start leaving the show.
Right. And like even taking it back to real life, right? So out of all the people that I have befriended throughout my life, I've never had like a blow up like friend drama because like I'm very much like if we have an issue, let's talk about it and resolve it. And what I've realized from my times of being in middle school, high school, and even college, the drama was always when party A and party B never had a conversation directly. It was through five different people. So by the time they get the intel back, it's like a different variation, and then party A and party B have beef, but they never talk directly. And
The
I'm just like,
telephone game. The telephone
yeah,
game. It happens in
yeah.
every job, every church, every gathering of people. You have one person said, and by the time you get the message, it's nothing like the original message. And that's why your grandmother, your nana have always said, go directly to the person. And it's going to hurt. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, people. When you decide to, become a true adult and say, someone said so said XYZ, and you go, really? Let me go talk to her. And you get up and you start walking. The person that told you gets a little scared because they don't know if they got it completely right. And then the person you're going to talk to, you don't know how it's going to go. They could have, one, definitely said that, and you're going to have words, harsh words between the two of you. Or two, they didn't say that, and they're wondering why you're going to learn about them through another person rather than asking yourself. So it can still get a little volatile. That's why the cameras love stuff like this.
Well,
But
you
if
know
you are
what?
self-aware enough, Risa, you can, as you walk in, it's all in your delivery if it becomes confrontational or not. People don't realize that. You can bring up anything to anybody. It's all in how you deliver it.
Agreed, because I do feel like at my last job, this is like probably towards the beginning of me working at my last job, there was a situation that had happened. Somehow my name got tossed in, and I was told by my boss at the time, oh, well, so and so said this about you. So, being who I am, very direct, I went to that person. I was like, oh, so I heard you said X, Y, and Z. And she was like, well, I didn't say it. I just repeated it, and so said it. And then I went back to my boss at the time and told them what happened. And she was like, "Oh, why'd you go to her? Because now you look guilty." And I was like, "How do I look guilty? I'm trying to figure out like where exactly did this come from? Because I'm like, what they are saying is not even true. So I'm like, I don't understand."
Yeah, to be maligned at work is hard. And to
Right.
be maligned if you're a leader of ministry in a church is hard too, because you're going there and you're not even being paid to
No,
do stuff in ministry. To be maligned in church, that's the worst. Like, and these are Christians. That's the worst, right?
that's
So
crazy work.
it's really crazy.
Like to eat, like just the thought of that, like to be somewhere, right, where you're
Hmm.
doing work for Jesus, the Lord, and you're getting maligned.
Oh yeah,
I
it
don't have
happens.
time to. I don't have at that point in time because like if I'm thinking about it, if I'm doing that, I don't have time to address shenanigans because I'm not like say what you want to say. If that makes you happy, if that's your entertainment for the day, fine, I'll be that. But I'm not here to entertain people that don't have a life and don't know how to come to that person directly and ask them the question, which is also another thing too, like which it goes back to your whole like not acting like you're a high schooler. Like if you really are concerned, as you say, about this person, then go to the source and ask them the question. Otherwise, if you would never say it to their face,
Yeah.
just don't say it at all.
Yeah, you definitely have to understand that when it comes to churches and ministry and people not getting paid, the reason why it's so hard to get some people to volunteer for ministries is because of the church hurt that happened. Somebody somewhere canceled somebody else or said the wrong thing, and our natures are fragile. We look for acceptance when we join ministry. We look at that as being, maybe I'll be a part of this group. You'll want to be a part of something. And for something to happen that makes it like you feel rejected in some way or ostracized in some way by people that are supposed to be filled with the Spirit, yeah, it makes a lot of people go, when the pastor goes, oh, we have all these great ministries, and he's excited because he sees all these saints. And then you have one or two that's kind of adding a little salt to the pot going, well, I wouldn't join that ministry. They're kind of cliquish. That's what happens when you get hurt.
Yeah.
People talk about their hurts. So I think it's important that if you wanting people to join ministries or people that are leaders of ministries, to make it very perfectly clear, some stuff is not going to be tolerated. And when it happens and that person is a leader, that leader has to sit down for a moment. Hey, you know what? You have to sit down, because what occurred on your watch, what you said, it took legs, and this person has been affected. So now you're going to sit down a little bit. It doesn't have to be forever, but enough to learn the lesson that you cannot have a environment of cancel culture.
Right. And I honestly feel like if churches had like a zero tolerance for that, and not only did they make the leader of that ministry sit down, but also made them have to take classes about why they shouldn't be doing that, and like in like the proper protocol when they're overseeing these things, I think people would think twice. Because unfortunately, it's like if the punishment does not fit the crime, people will, they will continue whatever action they're doing before. But if the punishment is like, oh, well, now I can't do this, and now I have to take these classes, and now I can't go to like these events for the next 6 months because I've been suspended, then you'll be like, you know what, let me think twice before I start, being like snarky and saying things I shouldn't be saying just because I'm bored, or whatever the case may be.
Or because power corrupts. Not everybody
Yes.
that gets a position of power is ready to wield it. I mean, a lot of people don't look at leadership as being a service position, but it is. It's a service position. It's not a God position. It's not ruling over people. It's actually serving them. The best leaders are the ones that are trying to make sure they are doing what they need to do to serve those that report to them. Like, how can I help you do your job better? It's actually more heavy lifting. It's not less. It's not a person with a bunch of minions. That's not what it is. And if you're looking at it that way, then you're going to have to sit down. But I think you're right. I think they should have to be held accountable and talk with somebody. You have to have a conversation with the lead pastor or the pastor himself, him or herself. And you're going to have to take that Canvas class. Like, I know at Rutgers, we have, when a student's on academic warning, like you get that first, like, oh my gosh, your grades dropped and they're wondering what's going on with you. The first thing they do at the School of Arts and Sciences is, oh, we have to restrict how many classes you're in because you're having a hard time. The second thing they tell you to do is you're going to have to take this Canvas class. You have to go into Canvas and read through these modules and work on these modules so you can learn the habits of students that are actually how they do well, how you prepare for your classes, what, your study habits. They look through all of that. And thirdly, you have to talk to somebody. You have to talk to somebody and give them the game plan of how you're going to be better this semester. Now that we've restricted your classes, now that you've learned a little bit about study habits, what is your plan going forward? I think the same thing should happen in leadership. And it probably does in some churches where they say, okay, this has happened. Let's look at it. I don't think you can make anything better that you're not willing to look at. You can't clean a wound by just, pulling down your sleeve. You're going to have to look at it, clean it out, and dress it properly.
Agreed. And I also think too, like, not only are they going to talk to someone from leadership about what their plan is, I feel like during that time too, they need to actually talk to a therapist who is also licensed to figure out, like, okay, like, we need to figure out how we even got to this point and like why you even felt the need to even do that. Because I don't think people understand that seeking help for your mental health and also, worshiping God, to me, they go hand in hand. And I know some people feel like, oh, well, all I need is God and that's it, I'm good. But I'm like, let's not forget that God put therapists on this planet to help us. So it's like, if you are struggling with something and you always feel a need to belittle someone or whatever the case may be, those could be wounds that you have never addressed, but your trauma, as I would say, your trauma is screaming and you're projecting on other people that did not hurt you emotionally, and that's not fair.
Yeah, I like to think of it as you're bleeding on people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're in a leadership position and, you're thinking everybody's talking behind your back and nobody's saying nothing. Every time, they laugh or have a good moment or they're gathered together, you're assuming they're gathered talking about you, laughing about you, doing whatever about you. And it had nothing to do with you. And that's when you find a person lashing out or saying things based on their perception And you come to understand if you do talk to a therapist, no, darling, your trauma's showing. You're bleeding on these people. Same thing if you're going through a divorce. It's so hard not to bring up the divorce 1,000 times in every meeting you have with your people that report to you when you're going through it, because it's such a traumatic thing. You're untying your life with a person. So sometimes you have to say, I need to sit down and deal with this over here. Because believe it or not, even though everybody feels for you, wants to be there for you, they're not therapists, nor do they want to hear about it every single Sunday with every single lesson in Sunday school, you know?
Right.
So sometimes you have to say, is this a good time for me? Is this the season where I need to be doing this? Because like God says, there's seasons for everything, right, Risa?
Absolutely. And like I even feel like being in any type of leadership role, if you are going through something personally, you should not be in leadership. I'm sorry. Because I say that because I've seen this firsthand. If you are going through something personally and you have people that report to you, unfortunately, and you're not dealing with that and you're not talking to the lady, 9 times out of 10, you're going to take that out on people that are working for you that didn't even do anything to you besides come to work.
Yeah.
And to your point, I have seen people have what I would call this pharaoh complex where they just sit there and they say and do whatever because they're like, oh well, I'm, this is my title and you're below me, and I'm just like, but you're wait, we're all a team. Like, why are you talking to them like that? Why are you acting like that? It's like whatever you're going through, we can clearly see something is going on, so you should probably talk to the lady and figure that out because again, it's only 8 o'clock. Most of us are still getting our coffee.
Risa's like,
And
it's only 8 o'clock in the morning. How come you acting like this?
yeah, it's like, why are you raging so early in the morning? Like, what, you mad at bacon? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like,
Or when they go from 0 to 100 and you're like going,
yeah. And it's
yo, it's
just
not
like,
even 10 a.m. What's going on?
no,
You
those are the
know?
best ones when I'm sitting there checking my emails and I see someone, because again, there is a thing called rage texting, but I also know there's a thing called like rage emails. There's no reason why people are using caps and screaming in an email, and it's only 9 o'clock in the morning, and we've only
Yeah,
been
and
here
they
for an
say, I
hour.
want to make sure that they read this. It's like, no, you can italicize, you can reiterate, you can say it more than once, but you don't have to use caps. Caps for everybody means yelling in an email.
Right.
And
And
when you caps and underline it, that means you're yelling even loud with your like your fists are clenched while you're, that's what you want them to see, like you're that upset.
right. It's like when they do caps, they use exclamation points. My favorite is when they put the whole they want a read receipt, so you get that message that pops up after you read the email that says so and so wants to acknowledge wants a receipt back acknowledging that you read their email. And I would always tell people, like, don't do that, because like that comes off as being rude. Like, I clearly read your email. If it's urgent, you can call me, but you don't have to send a
Yeah,
red
yeah.
receipt. Like, what are we
I
doing?
think that's left over from COVID. COVID
Yeah.
was like everybody was so used to emails and stuff, less calling, but emails, so that you trying to get these big, long-winded emails for something that, and not everybody
Just
is a
call me.
wordsmith. So, and there's different connotations to words. So, sometimes it's better to pick up the phone. Sometimes it's better to pick up the phone. Now, to go to the final parts of Pastor Compton's speech, she said there's lessons from Jesus's example. She said Jesus focuses on humility, integrity, and loyalty to his calling, despite rejection. And he serves as a powerful reminder to stay true to our purpose, even when we fall out of favor with society or cultural expectations, and which can be really hard. She concluded by urging the congregants gathered to consider how cancel culture operates in our own lives. Are we quick to celebrate, but also equally quick to condemn people? How do we balance accountability with compassion and justice? We have to really look at those things. The stories of Jesus' final days offers an enduring model for navigating these challenges with grace and courage. And I'm so glad that in Holy Week that we're forced to look at what he actually went through, and look at ourselves. I mean, there's no way we could ever do what he did for us, but to acknowledge the gift that it really was. Now, you can view Reverend Maria Crompton's sermon, Cancel Culture, on the Messiah Movement Livestream YouTube channel. When you get a moment, check it out. All right, so Resa, now we move on to one of my favorite parts of the show. Who's the dove of the day today?
It's time to celebrate an amazing person doing amazing things in this world. This is Dove of the Day.
So, Dove of the Day for today is brought to you by Prayer Bowls. I'm going to read this wonderful excerpt because I wanted to make Jon Bon Jovi the Dove of the Week this week. But he's run into some problems from my hometown. So basically, Mayor Dan Reddick of Toms River, New Jersey, criticized Jon Bon Jovi's charitable JBJ Soul Food pop-up restaurant, claiming it attracts a significant number of unhoused individuals to the area, which he believes is problematic due to its proximity to a school. Reddick described the establishment as a soup kitchen rather than a restaurant, expressing concerns that it draws homeless people from across the state without benefiting local residents. He stated that the town should not bear the burden of homelessness for the entire Ocean County, and while no immediate action can be taken to close the eatery, his legal team is considering lawsuits to address the issue. The JBJ Soul Kitchen operates on a model of suggested donations, aiming to feed those in need through the Jon Bon Jovi Soul Foundation.
From what I gathered from it, it's pretty much that if I went to this restaurant, and I think it's like a pop-up, it's only supposed to be up until May in the Toms River area, but I'm not sure. I could be off by that. But what I get from it is I can go there and I can buy something, but I can also pay for the next person or pay for other people that might not have funds so that they can eat, is how it works, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it works. I'm happy that Jon Bon Jovi is using his endless resources to do something to help people that are in need. I'm very disappointed in the mayor. Like, I don't my thing is his concern from what I'm understanding is he doesn't want this pop-up restaurant to be taking in or helping people outside of Ocean County, which to me is like, why is that a problem? Like,
So he's worried more about foot traffic, you think?
he's according to the articles that I'm hearing about him. Like, here's the thing, right? As someone that went to school in Ocean County, what I will say is it's a decent size county. It is pretty slow from September into about April, and from May until from May until about mid-September, that's when it pretty much comes alive because people are coming down to the shore to.
Oh yeah, that shore traffic is no joke. Yeah.
Right. So with that being said, and I pretty much lived in the area for about 14 years pretty much. Like, I don't see anything wrong with someone, mind you, someone of his stature, Jon Bon Jovi, coming down to Ocean County, Toms River preferably. I'm sorry. Last time I checked, there was no one really comes to Toms River. They don't. When they come to Jersey, they're always going to Newark, and like, because Newark is closer to New York, which is understandable. But nobody was coming down to Toms River. Like, the last famous person that we had from Toms River was Al Leiter, the baseball player. And that was when my dad was growing up, and my dad was born in the 60s. So the fact that Jon Bon Jovi decided to have this pop-up restaurant in Toms River just to help people, the conversation really should be, okay, this is great. How can we, how can we help? Not like, the conversation should not be, oh, I don't want this again, the mayor called it a soup kitchen, whatever. He didn't want this soup kitchen in his town because he didn't want other people coming in. I thought Ocean County was open for everybody.
Yeah.
I didn't know that we were closing rank in certain towns. But if that's the case, like, I'm sorry, anyone that lives in the tri-state area, meaning Jersey, Connecticut, and New York, we're all over the place. So we are not closing rank on certain towns and telling people you can't come here because you don't live here.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal.
Has
The
Jon
man,
Bon Jovi said anything? Has he been quoted
I
saying anything?
I haven't read anything from John. I'm pretty sure he's probably having his legal team look into the matter because it's like, to me, the whole thing is silly. Like, the whole purpose of the restaurant is to not only provide business and work for people, but to also help people that are less fortunate. So the fact that this good deed is now becoming, or already now has this drama attached to it, to me is gross because it's not necessary. Like, I really don't understand. And honestly, for the mayor to say, "Oh, I don't want people from outside of Ocean County coming to," how do you know? Are you there? Like, are you at the restaurant? Are you checking people's IDs to figure out where they live? Because it sounds to me like you're just making a general statement.
Well, I know there's always two sides to a story. He might have said some things that might be misconstrued, who knows? Or maybe he spoke in a brief moment and was taken out of context. So I haven't actually, listened to exactly what he said. I don't know if he did it with microphones in front of him and he said how he felt. I don't know if it was an article written in the paper, he was quoted. But if that's the case, that he said that he just doesn't want this to exist, when Jon Bon Jovi and his team has worked so hard to do this as a good thing, to help others, and can't find a happy medium, that's sad if he can't find a happy medium, because let's say it isn't a place that he doesn't want it, and he's very clear about that, but this is something that is needed and people are coming and showing up because it's a resource and they look forward to this resource. It's been very cold lately. So to be able to get some good food and someone paid ahead of time for people behind you, people are like paying it forward, as they say, and you get a nice meal. If it's not working where it is, then where should it work, Mayor? Are there other mayors you can talk to about where it could go? Is the Ocean County Library was the basis for one of my novels, so I know that that's a great library. But there's also the Ocean County College. Is there's schools in the area? So is there another place that'll be better for it to be next to or near or and my thing is, I know Jon Bon Jovi and his team had to look at all of that and get the okays. You can't just show up somewhere and say, I want something without permits and things. So
Right.
it's been approved. So is he now trying to rescind that just because of how much press it's getting? Now it's going to get even more press. Here we are talking about it because of what you're trying to take away.
Right. And I honestly feel like, too, because of this, it's going to make people not want to do business in Towns River. I'm sorry. Stuff like this, again, as someone that like lived in the area for 15 years, there's not a lot of like, there's not a lot of big things that happen in that town. There's not. There isn't. You guys, anyone that has lived there, went to school there is not. So if this is what
It's
is,
a quiet town. A lot of people go to retire there. There's a big
that's the
Jewish
thing.
community there. It's a very quiet town until it comes that time of year when people are going through to get to the shore, man.
Right. Like, I've always told people when they've asked me, like, to basically sum up that area, if you are newly married and you're about to have kids, go live down there. It's quiet, it's slow. If you are retired and you want a slow life, go down there. It's quiet. If you're trying to be social, you don't.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no,
It doesn't have the
that's
feel
not.
of a central Jersey at all
Yeah, it's not
or
like, if
northern Jersey. It's a different feel. Yeah.
to be honest, like, he could probably go to Belmar. Belmar is where the people that are like around my age group and up and coming business people are in that area, and like you can get a lot of business. And I'm pretty sure they wouldn't mind having him have his pop up restaurant over there because they welcome people.
Yeah, but I think it's great that he's trying in different parts of New Jersey so he can get a feel for what is needed where. Like a pop up just means we are trying to test this area. if we could be successful in this area. Just like when you see pop-ups of, clothing stores, like, how Kim Kardashian had her Skims and she did a pop-up shop. You just want to see if it'll have enough traction there to be an actual bigger store. So the same
Right.
thing with pop-up of a restaurant. You're trying a very limited menu, and you're trying to see how the climate is going. And now he knows how the political climate feels, and he knows how the people that are looking for that resource feels. And he's got a lot to wrestle with now, just knowing that information.
Well, yeah, like I know they do pop-ups all the time in New York City, and I have
Hmm.
yet to hear anyone complain about those. I'm just like, I think where I get frustrated about it is, like, I don't know if the mayor has anything set up for the homeless people that are coming over to the restaurant. And if so, like, are you calling to other mayors to ask them what they're doing to help out? Because I don't understand, like, why, going back to the point that you made earlier in the podcast, like, instead of complaining about the heavy foot traffic, what are we doing to help the people that are basically coming over in droves, as you say, to come to this restaurant? Because clearly there's a need that Jon Bon Jovi's restaurant is able to provide. But if you're saying, hey, this is causing too much foot traffic, then you start making
Then
phone
what's the
calls.
solution? Yeah.
Yeah, start calling other mayors and get that up and running or something.
Yeah, you can't just be the tinkling brass and making the noise, but you won't say, okay, yes, you rang the bell and said, this is a problem, this is a problem. Okay. Now you have our attention. What's the solution? You can't just keep talking about the problem. I mean, it's like anything. It's like we're not teenagers. Teenagers tell you what the problem is. They always say, "Oh, did you know this is? You should have done that. Oh, do you know that this is missing?" Oh, but they don't have any solutions. They just want to bring it to your attention because they're expecting the adult in the room to come up with the solution. But all of us are adults now. The mayor's an
Right,
adult. So if this
right,
is a problem, and he's noticed, yes, John had his permits, and yes, this is taking place here, and yes, people are coming, but these three things have become a problem now for my city. Now that you've said that, what is the solution? Is a solution to shut him down and make it go away? Well, that doesn't help the people it's helping. It does help part of your constituency, but it doesn't help the other part. So is a more viable solution is something in the middle, like bring John and his team to the table and try to brainstorm on a weekend. Like, do you have to go to the governor's house to figure this out? Last time people couldn't meet, people that were striking against each other had to go to the governor's house. Do we have to do that again? Does he have to come in and say, okay, John, okay, whatever the Tom's River mayor's name is, y'all come to my house and talk this out? No, just pick up the phone, call John or his people and say, look, I know I've said things in the press that, about my angst about what's going on with my city and these pop ups, but I know this is work you really are passionate about. Let's meet, let's talk, let's figure this out. Because I know this could be a win win for both of us. We just have to figure out how to make this work. Maybe it's modified hours. Maybe it's that the police get involved and certain streets are blocked off so that the traffic only comes in a certain way and goes out a certain way. Like there's things they have to look at and talk about together. You don't just make everybody adversaries. We're not in high school.
right. And I do know when I came across the article on NBC News, they were talking about how the mayor was looking into possibly getting it shut down, which
Mhm.
again I find gross because this goes back to what you had said previously about, okay, so you shut down this man's restaurant, but you still have the issue of homeless people, whether they're from Tom's River, the next town over. What are you doing to fix that? And I honestly feel like he's only doing this because it's Jon Bon Jovi. Had this been just a regular degular person that did this and actually went through the proper channels just like John did, he wouldn't I personally don't think that he would say anything, especially if the person um contacted the mayor and got him involved. I don't know if the mayor's upset because he wasn't involved in this and now he's trying to make a name for himself. I don't know, but it's giving very cringe. I don't like it because it's like
Yeah.
the
It's too
whole
bad that it got so big on the national scene because this is something that could have been solved with a phone call. It's almost like when, like we talked about before, something can blow up at work or blow up at church, where everybody's talking about XYZ when two people could have just sat down and talked it out.
right, right. And then
Yeah.
yet again it just makes that part of the state look bad again. I'm just like, well, pick a different mayor. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that you have Jon Bon Jovi as Dove of the Day. I mean, I think he makes a good Dove of the Day for today, especially during Holy Week, to do something so good. Because that's something Jesus would do. He would feed the homeless. Have no problem with it. Well, come on in, take a seat. You know.
Right. Especially because, John is from New Jersey. 'Cause I know people like to complain about people being from certain states and not giving back to their state. I felt
Mhm.
like I wanted to make John Dove of the Day because he's like, hey, yes, I'm from this state, and yes, you know, I do travel the world, but I do remember where I come from, and I want to try to give back. So hopefully, I'm hoping that there can be some type of solution that the restaurant can stay where it is for the time being, and continue to help people. And even after the restaurant is gone, I hope this inspires the mayor and other residents to do something to help the people that are currently struggling given this
Yeah.
economic climate.
And maybe the people that actually live in that area, in Tom's River and around it, can actually petition for it to stay, and that might change some things. Maybe they will, pick up the charge and say, "Our mayor feels this way, but there's a lot of good here. We know it's not going to be here forever. It's a pop up, and we're okay maintaining until that date." So you never know. Sometimes you think things are just one sided until you hear from other voices. So thank you so much for sharing that with the day, Risa.
You're welcome.
Now let's go on to the screening room.
It's time for that weekly movie review.
In the screening room.
All right. In today's screening room, it's going to be featuring a series that I saw on Amazon Prime. Now, they aren't sponsors of the podcast, but I know you guys will want to check this out. It's called The House of David. It came out this year in 2025. It was created by John Irwin. It was directed by John Irwin, John Gunn, Alexandra La Rochelle, and Michael Nankin. It stars Michael Iskander, who is actually, this is his first actual leading role. He hasn't had a role like this ever. Ali Suleiman and Ali Ayet Azur and others. Now, here's a brief synopsis. Now, it deals with the story of David from the Bible. All right. And you all remember that David's story was always one of the most captivating tales for young people. It deals with a young shepherd who was an overlooked shepherd rising to become Israel's greatest king. This series tells you what happens when the story is retold with a modern kind of cinematic touch. I loved it, Risa. It had the feel in so many ways of the Ten Commandments, like it was big. It had a nice musical score. I mean, I can hear the music now, the intro, and I just know automatically it's the House of David about to come on. It explored how King Saul's downfall, the exploration of his pride, his use of power. At God's command, Samuel anoints David, a very unlikely teenager, to be the next king, right? And so what follows in the story is a whirlwind of love, heartbreak, ambition, violence. I did not like the violence too much, but there's violence there. Guys will like that. As David steps into his destined role. Now, here's the thing. The series isn't a word-for-word retelling of the biblical account. If you're looking for that, then you're coming to the wrong place. And the series doesn't pretend to be. It doesn't pretend to be a word-for-word retelling. You got to think of this more like a story inspired by ancient Israel and using some historical milestones from the scriptures to kind of fill in the gaps of those milestones with some dramatic flair. So the best way to think about it is like, imagine how a children's Christmas play unfolds. They're not reading it word for word. There's going to be some leeway in there, right? Or maybe a youth production of Ruth and Boaz, how they kind of add creative flourishes to it, Think about it along those ideas, okay? But on a much bigger and broader scale. I loved it. Have you had a chance to hear about it, Risa, The House of David, or check out the trailer?
I've heard about it. One of my really good friends was telling me about it, and she was telling me how, she's watching it. I believe her mom's watching it too. And she was like, "Oh, you should watch it." But at the time, I was watching another show, so I wanted to finish that first because I have a
Mhm.
habit of starting multiple shows at the same time, and then I'm like, something always falls through the cracks. So I'm trying to be diligent with doing at least one or two at a time before I do another show.
Well, I like watching it on Sunday. I like watching it on Sunday after church and, after you eat dinner and your 60 minutes might, hasn't come on yet or something like that. And I like to watch it and catch up on it. And I finished it. I went all the way up to where, David and Goliath are, going toe to toe. And I was feeling like, oh man, it's over. And then I read that they got commissioned to do season 2. And I was like, yes, because I can't wait to see, David's rise to become king. So if you're looking for a fresh way to re-experience biblical themes, or maybe you're just curious to see how ancient events can be reimagined with modern storytelling, then this is a series for you. I'm telling you, you're going to love it. I loved it. Now, it doesn't replace your scriptures. I know a lot of people like to do that. Like you've been watching The Chosen and you want to act like you don't have to read the New Testament. Stop it. You guys be real Christians here. Enjoy modern storytelling and enjoy series and movies that are based on our scriptures, but also love the actual word. The good news. So don't let it replace your actual Bible, okay? Instead, this should offer you a way to look at your biblical stories through an interpretive lens. Look at it that way. Like it's another way to appreciate it. Um, I think one of the actors of The Chosen said it best. He said, when I read my scriptures, it's hard for me now when I read the words of Paul or Peter and not picture the actor that plays Paul or plays Peter in The Chosen. That's how I look at it. Like I watch these things and then I have a better look in my mind, in my mind's eye, I have a better representation what King Saul looks like now when I read the actual scriptures. So look at it that way. It just enhances your scripture reading. It should not replace it. All
Yeah,
right. Go ahead, Risa.
nothing to say. Sorry.
You had something to say. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, I normally, like, I will use the because I am a visual learner, I tend to use the shows to help me visualize what I'm reading if I'm kind of like stuck on something or confused on something, because sometimes the passages can be, the reading can be a little dense sometimes. So I'm like, oh, at least I have like something visual to show me what I'm reading.
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw the story of Noah and he's building the ark and everything else. I thought that guy, every time I was reading my scriptures about Noah, that's exactly who came to mind. Or when I'm reading about, Moses, who comes to mind? The guy that played Moses in the Ten Commandments. It's just how it's going to be, you know?
It's like, yeah, and seeing as though, which actually reminds me, because um we are in Holy Week, I wonder when they are going to play the Ten Commandments, because it used to be when I was younger, they would like promote it and say, oh, this Friday or this Saturday, we're going to play the Ten Commandments. Now, for the past, like, I want to say the past 5 years, I get no warning. And then I normally see it somewhere on my social media feed saying, oh, they're playing the Ten Commandments on ABC. So this is my plea to
Promote
ABC.
it better.
Can you guys at least promote it a couple times to say, hey, at least during daytime, to say, hey, we're gonna play, the Ten Commandments this Friday or Saturday at 7 o'clock, whatever. Just let me know, because
That's very interesting. A woman that has enjoyed streaming. I would think you would just stream it whenever you want to watch it, Risa, during Holy Week.
but see, here's the thing though. Here's the thing, because I do stream things, but some of these streaming sites will be like, oh, since you want to play the Ten Commandments, you got to pay some money. Why I got to pay for Jesus? That should be free. I shouldn't have to pay.
It's because it's less commercials if you pay for it.
Well, no. Like, the thing is, like, because, which also brings me to a good point too, because we do have streaming, right? If we're not going to promote it on cable television, then fine. Then let it be free on streaming and say Hulu, Apple TV, YouTube, all these wonderful
Disney
platforms,
Plus, all of them.
Disney
Yeah,
Plus,
yeah.
all y'all need to come out and say, okay, we know what's Holy Week. We are, if you don't have a subscription, you can like try us out for 7 days. That's what it is.
That would be very nice if they did that for Passover and Holy Week. And yeah, if they actually put the things on that, actually depict people's faith, and not just Christians and Jews, but also for Muslims and put everything out there. I mean, hey, the Scientologists want to watch Leah Remini. Hey, they can be free.
Listen,
whatever.
I'm just saying, as someone that like this is like my Easter tradition is to like watch this. So I'm just like, just make it easier for people like me that are like, hey, I'm tired of catching this wonderful 12-hour movie at the same part every year. I want to be able to watch it from the beginning and then fall asleep.
You do fall asleep on the same part.
The burning bush every time.
Yeah. You kind of look at it like you're at Christmas time, It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Or your Grinch. Like some people can't go through Christmas without watching the Grinch.
Right.
So you look at it like that. Your Holy Week is not complete until you saw the 10 Commandments. That's kind of weird because even though people are more centered on Christ, but I get you. You want to watch the 10 Commandments, you just watch the 10 Commandments. Easter time.
Saying, like I have like my Christmas movies too. Like I have to watch The Preacher's Wife, and I pay for that every year. So it's like, and even then, that should be free too.
Well, the themes of the House of David are dangers of pride, overcoming adversity, expected potential, love, loss, trust, betrayal, character, purpose, finding oneself, personal growth, faith, courage, discovery, and destiny. You can watch it on Amazon Prime Video. You can also catch the trailer on www.withthequickness.com when we update our website, right, Resa? So tell me, are you totally okay with how directors and writers are blending truth and creative storytelling, when it comes to biblical stories?
A part of me says, yeah. Like, I feel like as long as they keep the facts what the facts need to be, I'm all about it. And of course, there are some things you have to have some creative license on some of these things to make it to drum up the drama and make it interesting. But I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah, and the only thing I have an issue with is when they make too many new characters and you go to your scripture like, all those people weren't in that scene. That's the only thing I have a problem with, is they make a scene bigger with more people than were really there, and you're trying to do a biblical take on something. And that's why it's important to read your scriptures. Back in the day when we had a lot of books that become films, people used to say, oh, that's not in the film. I hope they have this part in the film, or they cut that out. Like when Waiting to Exhale came out and Terry McMillan wrote Waiting to Exhale, people remembered the book. So they were very interested to see how it would translate to film. Like who would play Bernadine, and how would they do the scene when Whitney talks to her mother, in that scene, and how would they do, how Bernadine's divorce that Angela Bassett played, because there was so many layers to the women and so many great scenes in the book. You can't put everything in the book on the film, right? In order for it to be, what is it, 2 hours or something like that in a movie theater?
like the standard would be like 90 minutes, which is like an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I know
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I know for me, like the first time I read a book that was turned into a movie was The Princess Diaries. So I was super excited because I loved the book. And then the movie came out, and I was like, low key, I was kind of devastated because I felt like the book was better than the movie to me, because the book had more things in it. And at the time, I didn't realize until, of course, you get older and you learn that they can't fit everything that's in the book into the movie. So they have to cut some things out. And I know that was kind of like the issue with all of those book series, like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. Like some people get really upset when they're like, hey, you didn't include this one scene. It should have been in there. So I say that all to say, I'm the person that's like, if there is a book and a movie, I will more times than not prefer the book over the movie, because the book has it's more detailed, it's more fleshed out, whereas like the film, even though yes, the director did a great work and everything else, the film has to be compacted to basically to be within like a certain time slot.
And I think the same thing goes on with the series, this docu-series. I mean, it's very well done. And I like to watch it when there's like 1 or 2 episodes already up there so I can watch 2 in a row on a Sunday. But it's very well done, but it's still the same. It's a lot of information in our scriptures. And then in some places, there's not enough and they're stretching it, and they're stretching the scene of Goliath torturing the Israelites, saying, you guys are supposed to be so wonderful and your God, where is your God? And he stressed it out for days. How many days actually? I'm not 100% sure, but according to the series, it was a lot of days, because they stressed it out for a dramatic effect. But it was really well done. And I really hope that everybody gives it a watch. I would caution about watching it with anyone under the age of 14. There's violence there. I mean, those battles with the swords, they got close-ups and it's intense. And it's not as bad as Lord of the Rings. It's not blood like that. But it's definitely, yeah, man, there's blood involved. And I'm not a blood girl. So for me, it's like when that stuff happened, that's when I look away. I can hear it. I ain't got to watch it. And then I turn back to it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I can't do blood and gore.
Yeah, but
like, I've realized as I've gotten older, don't get me wrong, there was a point in time where I thought in order to be cool, I had to watch all these like gory things, and all it did was like give me nightmares. So now I have realized with the help of my Lord and Savior and my therapist that I'm okay with being a Disney person and just like
I'm a Disney person and a Toys R Us kid. I don't care what nobody thinks about it.
I don't like all that stuff. Like even the other day, I was like, since we're on the topic of movies, it used to be when I was growing up, right? Not to be that person. I'm going to be that girl real quick. It used to be, right? They would only air the Halloween trailers, like the gory stuff during October. We are now going into Holy Week. And why did I see just the other day, like this horror film on YouTube, and I couldn't get out of it because it used to be, at least for the ads, if you're on YouTube watching videos and stuff like that, like you can fast forward it. Some of these now we can't fast forward, so I just turn my TV off, waiting for it to go off.
Girl, I take my headsets out, and then I go up in the corner when they show that video. I go those little 3 dots and say, I did not appreciate that. I go and tell them to block that ad. I don't ever want to see it again. I tell the algorithm I am highly upset that you would show me that. And most of the stuff on my feed is Christian based. And you would show me a Christian mother, something like that. Well, I'm going to this dot and you better pay attention, Mr. YouTube, and never show me this again. And I push it and then I turn it over and then it's done, because you are not going to sit there and defile my eye gates and ear gates with that garbage.
No, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, my YouTube consists of me listening to music, watching old like wrestling episodes, and cooking things, right? Why do I have an ad about a horror film about a woman that is like being possessed by a demon? I don't watch nothing.
And that's why you need to push those 3 little dots of menu and have it open up and says, do you want to block? Say, yes, block this ad. And you have to act like you're talking directly to the YouTube people. That's how I do it. I said, look, I don't know what your algorithm thought I would like, but I don't like that. And I push block ad.
Oh, but I'm telling you, when I'm watching it on my television, I don't have that option. All I have is the countdown in the corner, and I have to wait.
Oh, yeah. So that's why, because you're doing the big C. Oh, yeah. You're
so
you're right on your TV. You can't find that little menu. It's too big. Yeah,
too big.
It's on your screen.
So I'm hit at that point, and all I can do, I can either hit mute and wait. The whole 60 seconds.
Oh, you're better than me. If that came on my screen, you know what I do? I turn the TV off. And I turn it off. I just, I put it on like, that button that says where it says HDMI cord or other cord. I just change the cord for a second and I change the cord back, because you are not going to show me that stuff. You don't have to, you're not coming in this house if I don't want you to come in this house. You're just not coming in my house if I don't want you in my house. That's how I feel about it, Resa.
She said, I don't want you in my house.
No, I'll find a way.
She's like, I rebuke it.
Yeah. But you need to train it on your phone. When you're like listening to stuff on your phone, start training that algorithm.
Yeah,
because you learn a lot about people when you look at their YouTube feed. Case in point, I had a student that had to do a presentation one semester, and they're like, "Oh, professor, I made a video. Can I log into my account?" Sure. I gave the podium over to the students, took my seat with the rest of the students, and watched this person pull up their YouTube. And the whole class was like almost aghast at the debauchery this person had coming across their feed, all the little video squares of things that were recommended. And you could see the shame in the person's face. And I said, you can hit that button on the wall that says computer, and it'll be a blue screen until you're ready to show us. Oh, thanks, professor. Thanks, professor. They hit it real quick. I said, poor darling thing. Then after that, anytime a student has to use the podium, I tell them, let me take this off until you're ready. Let me turn off the screen until you're set up. Because I know the person was just mortified. I don't want anybody else. I mean, the guy handled it well. He handled it well. But no, I'm not putting anybody else through that to see what the algorithm's giving you in your personal time. Nah, I don't need to see it. I don't need to see it.
I can only imagine being in that class and being like, oh, so we doing that. That's why.
That's why you got to train your algorithm, man. Not everybody's meant to see what's in somebody's algorithm for YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. That's why you got to train it. You got to train it. You will know who you are if you picked up your Instagram or your Facebook or your YouTube and you're just scrolling through. It should be very clear what you look at, what's in your ear gates and eye gates, because if you're looking at debauchery, it's going to show it.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that too, because I know now on Instagram, like if you like reels, like sometimes it'll show you like 3 of your friends and what they liked, and you can like click on the 3 little dots that have their 3 pictures, and you can see what they liked, and you're just like,
yeah,
I'm gonna pray for you because I could tell you struggling.
Yeah, you learn a lot about people. And then sometimes what you do when you start going through and when they recommend your friends and you realize they're up to all kind of debauchery, you say, you're my friend, but not on Instagram. You're my friend, but not on YouTube. You're my friend, but not on Facebook. And you just make that conscious choice. And so your friend number might look few, but you got to tell them in person when you see them. Yeah, I don't really see when you post stuff about, your birthday party or this, that, and the other stuff. So I'm so sorry. You might gonna have to tell me or text me when things are going on you want me to know about, because I don't really check out your YouTube page or your Facebook page or your Instagram as much as I used to. That's the polite way to say I'm decided to unfollow you, but we're still friends. But I'm unfollowing what your content is because I can't take it. The nice way to say, oh, just talk to me via text, when something's going on. 'Cause I don't really check for you like that on Instagram. Like, I'm just been so busy. That's the proper way to say it. That's the etiquette. That's more demure and mindful. Say it that way.
I think the first time that happened to me, like when I saw it, like I was sitting there. I was like, do I not know this person? Because I was like, I had no idea. Because this goes back to your conversation about duality. And I'm just like, now when we hang out, I don't never see this side. Now all of a sudden, I'm like, what is this? When did this happen?
Yeah.
Like,
when you see someone talking about they're looking for a nice Christian girl, but then you look at their Instagram and it's like, but why are you following people and liking all this stuff?
Right.
And talking about all of this.
Right.
Where's the nice Christian girl and all of this stuff? Is she going to be attracted to that?
Right. Mind you, before anyone says, oh, you're judging, I'm not judging. I have concern. What I'm saying is the person that I'm hanging out with all the time is not the person that I'm seeing online. So I need to know, is the person that I'm hanging out with fake or is the person online real? Let me know.
I think that's the importance of this, how we always worry about people's ear gates and eye gates. The duality that people have to not be, more, integrated into one person. Society tells us it's okay to be one person with this group and act like another person with another group and a third type of person with another group. And society says that's fine. Have as many masks as you need. The Lord says we're supposed to mirror who Christ is. We're carrying his name. We're calling ourselves Christians. We should be trying to be more in his vein, how he directed his life. And if you look all through the scriptures, he walked among his people. He wasn't walking around other gods and only talking to other gods. He talked to people that were, lower than him, higher than him. He talked to his Heavenly Father all the time, always in communing with him. So when I see a pastor only talking to other pastors, only having a best friends that are only pastors, like, where's your best friends? That's the ordinary average guy, or ordinary average lady, does all of your people that run around with you have to be in the same circles? No, Christ showed us that. You can get edified with a community. That's why church is so important. You go to church, and like we said in the last podcast, if you get there before the sermon starts, you get to meet all kinds of people and get to know who they are and they get to know who you are. If you partake in ministry and give your talents to a wonderful cause in one of the ministries, you get to know people at a different level. Yeah, it's hard to look at some of that stuff, and I think judging. No, we're not judging. We're concerned. I'll be concerned too if somebody is like kind of out there in a different way, different from what they're representing when I see them. Yeah, I pray for people, and I pray for myself, and I do. I would just pray, Risa, because you can't really say anything. You don't want to offend anybody because we're all on our own walks. That's the thing. You don't want to be holding the Bible up like a Jehovah's Witness on the street saying, "Have you heard? Do you know who the Lord is?" I mean, you don't want to scare nobody. I mean, everything
Right.
about Christ is very loving.
Right.
It's
And
very
it's like,
peaceful and very loving.
right. I think, like, because I'm gonna speak for me. I think the concern for me is like, I guess because I am transparent, I'm just like, just be real about it. Like, I'd rather you just tell me up front so I know what I'm getting into versus, like you said, I'm hanging with your representative and then
Yeah.
it's somebody completely different. I'm just like, which one is real? Because now I don't even know.
And for you, it's harder. For most people in your situation that are single, it's harder because how can you find your tribe and your person, and how can that person find you if there's all these representatives running around out here? So I get it. It's like it's harder to like what. That's why there's a reason why Ruth was working on Ruth and Boaz found her. Sometimes you got to have your Ruth season and be like, Lord, you see this debauchery out here. I don't have the bandwidth to look at some of this stuff. I'm just gonna, stay in my lane, praise your name, try to bring souls to Christ and to know more about you. And you're gonna have to bring the right one to me. Sometimes you just got to do that because with friends, with job opportunities, you got to keep everything covered in prayer. All decisions. Yeah, definitely. So if you get a chance, I know you haven't watched it, please check out House of David. I liked it. I think you'll like it too. Okay. Now let's move on to the last segment of the show, Before the Bema Seat.
Come before the Bema seat. Come before the Bema seat. Where life's journeys meet. Every week, testimony of the one who brings hope and victory. With joy and reverence, we will sing our praises to the King of Kings, the Bema seat. Come before the Bema seat, the Bema seat. Come before the Bema seat.
Okay, in today's story of Before the Bema Seat, we're going to follow Dusty Gibson, who shares how a lost family heirloom reached her hands again. Now, it was a typical day for Dusty when an unexpected phone call brought an incredible story full circle. Dusty's former colleague, Martha, had stumbled upon a discovery in a secondhand shop that seemed almost miraculous. I found a green leather Bible, Martha explained. It has your name written inside along with a family tree. Dusty couldn't believe it. This was no ordinary Bible. It was a long-lost family heirloom with a storied past of resilience and faith. It was passed down on her father's side of the family, and it had endured some of life's harshest trials, including a fire that had destroyed nearly everything Dusty's family owned decades before. See, when Dusty was just 7 years old, her family faced frightening hardship. Her father had grown abusive, and her mother knew that she needed to escape for the safety of her children. Then one day, their home went up in flames because of a smoldering cigarette that had been left behind, and the family stood helpless as the fire consumed all of their belongings. But when the dust settled, there, in the middle of the rubble, lay a little green Bible, slightly singed, yet intact. The Bible became a symbol of strength and divine intervention. Using part of the insurance payout, Dusty's mom bought a car, packed her kids, and a few salvaged belongings, including the Bible, and drove away to start anew. They left Ohio behind and eventually settled in South Carolina, putting a safe distance between them and their previous life. Now, years later, with their lives completely transformed, the Bible was lost during a family move to North Carolina. For decades, Dusty's mother spoke about the Bible's miraculous survival, never forgetting its significance. Then, 35 years later, through a remarkable twist of faith, Martha's phone call reignited the story. When Dusty saw the Bible again, joy overtook her. She gifted it to her mother, who treasured it until she passed away in 2005. Today, that little green Bible remains in the family, passed down to Dusty's sister, and one day to her niece. It stands as a testament of faith, resilience, and the miracle that guides us through life's greatest trials. What once seemed lost found its way home again, just as Dusty's family did. Isn't that a great story, Risa?
It is.
Yeah, it's a great testament to, the fortitude of a family and, their faith. I mean, to have a whole house catch fire, but have a Bible remain on the table unsinged, like, wow.
Yeah, I want to say during the California fires, I forgot what news station I was watching, but there was a reporter that was walking through the neighborhoods, and there was someone that was talking about how their house had basically burnt down, but the only thing that didn't burn down was their Bible. So I was like, oh,
Whoa. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard stories like that in the past too, that miraculously the Bibles are saved. Not all of them, but a lot of them are saved. Or, you thought it was waterlogged, but no, everything was drenched in the water, but not the Bible. Or, the shelf that the Bible was on, stayed intact. Those books and things up there with the Bible were good. And there's been many times probably when Bibles were also singed and burnt and, waterlogged and things of that sort. But I like this story because it was something that the mother had held on to as she's going through an abusive, marriage and trying to start again. And to have it find its way back, though, that's kind of miraculous, right, Risa?
it is miraculous. It's like a full circle moment.
Yeah. If you would like to share a story from your Christian experience, one that will inspire new and rededicated Christians, please visit www.withthequickness.com and select the Bema Seat tab. There you will find an interview form so we can schedule a virtual interview with you. You can also email Bema Seat at withquickness.com to begin our guest process. So, Risa, another show down. I'm a little under the weather. I got my mother's hat on for fall, as you can see. I look very much like Wakanda
Your
Forever right now, don't I? I do. It's kind of like Wakanda Forever, the way I kind of wrap my hair up in this white here.
Yeah,
right?
It is giving Angela Bassett in Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, it's giving that and giving a little bit of the color purple when they're like, at the end, and everybody's dressed in white.
Oh,
with the reunion of the
yeah.
family.
The reunion.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
It's giving a little of that too. Spoiler alert. Yeah. But I think it's a good way to welcome in Holy Week. I'm looking forward to all the sermons. Our second sermon that we did today, it's actually this Reverend is actually Reverend Crompton. She's actually going to be speaking as one of our reverends. I think she's going to speak on Ash Wednesday, maybe. Right? at our church. So we're going to look forward to having her. She's in New Jersey now. So come on down and speak at First Baptist. It's how Pastor Quick said, hey, you're in the area. Let's have you speak at ours. So I'm looking forward to hearing what she says at First Baptist. Will she do cancel culture for us? Hopefully no, because we just did it here. But I have a feeling she'll do one more appropriate towards us. But if she does the same one, we won't mind it. We won't mind it. It was really well done for our sister church over there. And so for Messiah Baptist Church. So if she does it again, we'll be kind. Even though we heard it, we'll be kind. Right, Lisa? Yeah, pastors like to do certain sermons more than once.
Right, but I'm pretty sure she'll probably pick something different because it is Holy Week, so she'll probably pick a different topic to discuss.
Yeah. I mean, because people do. Oh, well, the thing is, we wouldn't cancel her if she did.
Yeah, I would.
Hey, we learned from her. We would not cancel her if she did.
Listen, if comedians, not even if, because comedians have said jokes, like the same joke numerous times in different ways, it's fine.
It's absolutely fine. So we are so grateful that you tuned in today. Our prayer for you is that God reveals to you that he is real and able to meet all your needs according to his glorious riches in Christ Jesus. Thank you so much for being with us today. Have a great week, everybody. A great Holy Week, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
I've been trying to forget, but you won't let me. Something in my brain holds you. I've been hanging by myself, asking for help, but nothing seems to work on you.
With everything crazy, you're still my source of peace. You filter out the lows, you give me what I need.